Welcome in, everybody, to our Wednesday live call. We are talking about non-disclosure states today. Dan, excited to get to this one.
Welcome in, guys. Excited to get to it. This has been constantly one of those topics that's brought up in these calls. So how to do deals in non-disclosure states, how to comp land in non-disclosure states, how to price mail in non-disclosure states. It's a big topic. There's how many non-disclosure states, Ron?
I have the number right here. I believe it's 12.
12 non-disclosure states out there. So it's obviously a lot of states. Some of the biggest states are like Texas, are non-disclosure states. So today we're going to talk about doing deals there. It's a common question. We want to address it head on. Welcome in,
exactly.
guys.
And in the, you guys can see at the bottom, the question of the day: what is the most important metric to look at when comping land in a non-disclosure state? Yeah, I'm excited to see your guys' answer. Like, how are you determining the price of a piece of land in a non-disclosure state? If you're under contract to buy 5 acres, how do you find out what that value is without knowing sold prices, comps in the recent in the nearby areas? So excited to get to this one. We'll get started here in a couple minutes. If you guys, welcome Pete, welcome Tommy, welcome everybody, Mike, Kathy, everyone who's coming in. I know our text can be sometimes delayed a little bit with a bulk going out. Hopefully you guys are getting in here. Chelsea said last listed price.
Last listed price, yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, get your guys' question of the day in the chat. Welcome, Pete. Welcome, Mike and Kathy. Welcome in, everybody. If you guys are just trickling in, today's topics, non-disclosure states and how to do deals in non-disclosure states. It's limited data. You only have for sale data. You don't have sold data. So we're going to talk all about that here today. What is the most important metric to look at when comping land in a non-disclosure state? If you guys have an opinion, have done land deals, have looked at this topic before, put your answer in the chat. I'm curious to see everyone's opinion on this. No answer is wrong, obviously, but excited to get into it, guys. Welcome, Brittany, James, Jake, welcome in. What's going on, Nate? Tina, welcome in, Tina.
Yeah, I'm just checking the to make sure. I want to make sure everyone's getting in here, Dan, because those texts can be a little bit delayed. We'll get started here in about 60 seconds or so. Answer the question while you guys are coming in here. I'm
Be friends with an agent in that state. I like that one.
That's a good one.
That is a good one. Be friends with the agent in that state, because agents, guys, for those who don't know, real estate agents with the MLS access have access to all that data. They can see what things are selling for, unlike the public eye sitting here in Florida looking into Texas. We can't see that unless we have a connection there. That's a really good answer. Welcome, Austin, Mike, Thomas West. Welcome in, guys. Get your guys' question of the day in there. What is the most important metric to look at when comping land in a non-disclosure state? Ron's pulling up this slide here. Today's focus, guys, if you just trickled in, doing land deals in non-disclosure states. Excited to get into it. We just had a bunch of people join at once, so answer the question of the day in the chat while Ron's trying to figure out the tech on what's going on here.
I'm not good with this.
It's an every week occurrence. If you guys come back,
we can do it like this, I guess. Is that big enough for you, Dan? That's what.
Yeah, this is good. Can you guys see this? All right, let's see the chat also. MLM Max, Thomas West, welcome in, guys. If you guys are looking at this screen where we're on the side like this, let us know in the chat if this is okay for you guys. We're going to resume though. Let's get into it.
Yeah, this is too small. Just let us know. So like Dan said, like we said multiple times, obviously, today we are focusing on, and if you guys are just popping in here, answer this question in the chat. But today we're focusing on doing land deals in non-disclosure states. And for anyone who doesn't know, you guys can see at the bottom of the screen there. Let me hide that.
A non-disclosure state is just states that don't record the sale price of a property.
Yeah, exactly. So you're not going to actually see the sold price. So what is the most important factor? So if you are in Texas and you're buying a 5-acre property and you're trying to comp it out, but you don't have any sold prices, what's the most important metric you're going to look at? You want to find out what that 5 acres is going to be able to sell for. So that is the big thing. And like Jake said a few minutes ago, Jake said he's been avoiding non-disclosure states, which is very normal for newer people. Yeah. But we're going to try to give you some tips on doing deals like this. And I always think there's a hurdle to doing deals in non-disclosure states.
For sure.
And it's kind of like the same hurdle, Dan, with texting right now. Like there's a hurdle to getting into texting. If you can find a way past that and find a way to do it, I think it's very valuable. So you can see the 12 non-disclosure states here. I'm not going to read them out, but these are the 12 non-disclosure states. trying to see if I knew all of them. I knew like the main one. No, I don't want to say Maine. Missouri is obviously very. Texas is huge.
I always forget New
A
Mexico.
lot
I
of different. We're
forgot
doing
about
deals
that.
in a lot of these states, not Alaska. What'd you say, Dan? New Mexico?
Yeah, that's
New
one I
Mexico
forgot
actually
about.
a non-disclosure. I did not know that.
Is this an accurate list here, guys?
We'll see. I'll check. So what is a non-disclosure state? Like Dan just said, it is a state, and on Zillow, this is what you're going to see. This is an actual sale price in one of those non-disclosure states. I believe I pulled it from Mississippi. But you're going to see a list for sale. You're going to see a pending sale. This pending on Zillow, on these other sites, this does not mean this went under contract for $67,000. It's very, very important to realize this. This is just, it went under contract when it was listed for $67,000.
Yep.
We do not know. We will not know unless you're friends with a realtor, unless you talk to a realtor and find out more comps. We do not know the actual sold price for this parcel. This is what it's going to look like. And the hurdles, Dan, I think with non-disclosure states is obviously determining market value, but then also pricing mail. Like if you are trying to target land deals, if you're trying to do land deals in a non-disclosure state, these are the two biggest hurdles you're going to have. So the first off is pricing mail. So you're sending blind offers is what we do a lot of. So if you're doing blind offers, if you're doing blind text with prices, whatever it is, pricing is going to be a hurdle for sure. And then also when you get deals coming back, determining market value. So those two are probably, is there anything else you can think of directly, Dan?
No, it's just, it all comes down to comping areas is a segment. Pricing mail is a segment of that. So if you can comp an area, you can price your mail. If you can comp the area, you can give individual negotiation tactics on that, or offers, what I meant to say, when you're on the phone and negotiating, if you're texting. So it all really comes to just finding out the market value of an area or of the land. And that's what the difficulty is in that area.
Yeah, so realtors, Gus asked, is it legal for the realtor to give us that information or even ethical? As far as I know, it's illegal. And then Mike said Redfin is giving sold comps. Redfin does not give sold comps. I can't believe Redfin hasn't fixed this. It's deceiving the way they do it. Actually,
it's last sale
sold price. Hold on, let me see. See, it's the last list price. For some reason on here, it says last sold price, which is not correct. This is not the price. This is very, very important. Redfin, for reason
when you click into it and look individually, it's last list price, not last list
price here, which is weird that it says sold price there. But you go into any
of
these
to the price history.
It's going to show you last list price, and then you go down to the pricing history, like Dan said, and there is no sold price. This is this is not an estimated sold price. This is the last list price.
Yeah, it's identical to it, correct? 149 on this one. Is that what that is?
This sale was in a non-disclosure state. What'd you say?
Yeah,
149 is the last list price. Yes, this is not
estimated. They give estimates on the market value of the house and all that, but not the Redfin estimate or whatever that is.
Redfin's is very, like, the way they do it is I've heard these comments so many times, and it's always something we need to clarify because how deceiving Redfin's kind of is, because it says very clearly here, last sold price, which is not the case. This is not correct.
Yeah.
This just isn't public data. There's no way for Redfin to have this data because it is not public data.
Correct. Yeah, that's a really good point. And that's very deceiving that they're doing that. So it's not on it. We used to do that before we really read into it and thought there was some sold data on Redfin, but that's not the case.
What you can see sometimes, I'm gonna actually look into this while we're doing this. What they will have sometimes is a realtor. This is
reported.
This is a realtor reported sale price. So take it for what it is. But this actually is, again, it's not confirmed with public records, but this is it's not on every record either. This is a realtor reported sale price. This is much, much better information. But let's keep going. Okay, so what is a non-disclosure state? I think we all understand that. So
I'm curious, guys, also, Ron, while you're bringing that up, just while you're continuing to go through this, if you guys have worked in non-disclosure states in real estate, and let us know in the chat. I'm curious on the percentage of people who are doing deals in non-disclosure states and what states those are.
I like that. I'm going to go through questions real fast, make sure we didn't miss anything. Okay. So this is kind of getting into the metrics, Dan, the question that we started with at the beginning. So the keys to working on these in these states. Number one is the time on market, I think. And this is for sold properties. And it is another thing that a lot of people do is they look at time on market as list date to sold. I don't like doing that because it's not accurate in terms of like, it's not accurate as how long it took to go pending. I like to go list date to pending date because nothing happens. Like if something was listed today, which is June 5th, and it sells August 5th, it's not it's 60 days on market. That's technically what Redfin, all that data, all those data centers are going to be, but it went pending in 1 day. It went pending in 0 days. So what you need to literally do, and what we're going to do when we walk through examples, is you need to kind of, based on how fast things are selling, you are going to try to determine the actual sold price. So last list price and then kind of time on market combination, Dan.
Correct. Yep.
Does that make sense?
It does make sense. So what we're looking at, guys, in Zillow and Redfin, it all shows when the property went for sale. So it went for sale June 5th. And then when it went pending. So if it went pending June 11th, that's 6 days on the market technically, because once it's pending, it's off, it's sold. So that's how we determine the heat of a property, how fast things are selling.
Yep. You can, I think we can get within 5 to 10%. You're not going to be 100% accurate. That's one of the other keys, Dan, that I didn't put on here. Like you're not going to know unless you have realtor data, MLS data, you're not going to know exactly what it sold for. You also want to keep in mind like price reductions. If someone's dropping the price from 50,000 to 45,000 to 40,000, there's a good chance that when that does actually sell, it's going to sell for far under what that even 40,000 is. So keep in mind that price reductions are a sign of weakness. Honestly, with sellers, it's a sign of weakness. And typically those are going to sell for a lower percentage to what the list price is. Our goal with all this stuff we're doing is trying to predict what the actual sold price is. These are the data, the metrics that we need to look at. And then finally is for sale comps, Dan. And that's not going to really determine what an individual property is sold for, obviously, but that's going to help you when you're pricing mail, when you're trying to determine what a price is in an area.
Absolutely. For sale comps in non-disclosure states is very, very, very important to dig into. We don't dig into it as much in standard areas and states that are non-disclosure states, but for non-disclosure states, they have a lot of weight on them.
Exactly. So we're going to get into a couple of examples, and essentially what we're going to do here in these 2 counties, and we can do more than 2 at first, is going to try to find out the 5-acre sale price in this. So you're pricing mail, you're doing whatever. 5 acres is obviously a very base acreage. So that's what we're going to do in these 2 counties. Let me pull up Lincoln County, Missouri. The first thing I'm going to do is, as we go through these and if you guys haven't, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you guys have not already, we come back every week, 5:30. These are all topics. Every topic we do is suggested by you guys, essentially. This is obviously a little more niche. And that's what you said to me before, Dan. Like, this is a little more niche. We'll see how people kind of react, but this has been highly, highly requested.
Exactly. Yeah. Let us know in the chat if you guys have topics you guys want us to talk about. We've done pricing. We've done comping, we've done market selection, we've done topics, every single week, a new topic for the last 16 weeks or so.
Yeah, exactly. So getting into this, Dan, so the first thing whenever I'm looking at a county, this can be intimidating when you look here and like you see nothing, no sold comps, like there's all just dashes on here. You need to literally go in, like you can scrape these and stuff. I like hand going into comps because I can get more data that way. I'll even write things down. I'm actually pull up a doc real fast. Give me a second.
So are you scraping it into there, or is there a way to scrape this information in?
You definitely keep out there. I don't have anything in particular in this. I like going through it's like when I'm pricing this stuff, even like I like going in by hand and kind of getting into the weeds of the properties, because different properties, there's just so much variance in land quality as well. I typically start with for sale. So what I want to do first is, let me go back into the county. What I like to do first is go into for sale, and I just want to see what my competition with. So let's say we got a 5-acre piece of land. And again, we're trying to find out 5-acre price essentially. And we got a 5-acre piece of land in the center of county, whatever it is. I want to see what I'm going to be competing with. And when we look at for sale, we want to see the interest that it's getting. So I'm going to go 2 to 10 acres. I see 3 acres for sale right here for 91,000. And what you want to do when you go into these comps is, this is a very expensive county. So you look at for sale. You look at saves, you look on days on market. Anything that's been on the market 20 days, 15 days, and it's getting multiple saves per day, you're in a pretty good ballpark of price. this probably isn't that overpriced. They actually increased the price, interesting enough. It's weird how they did that. I guess a day after, I don't know. They went pending after a day. This is just an example of a for sale though, Dan. This is probably priced to sell, don't you think? But there is another 3 for 75 that's not selling.
Right.
So looking down here, there's really not that much. So the only thing that I see when we're trying to find a 5-acre price is this is the only thing that can really help me. And this is getting a ton of interest. It's been on market 32 days. It has 60 saves. I mean, my guess based on looking at these 3 acres and 5-acre comps, my guess is 5 acres is going to be anywhere from 95 to like 105. And that's what I want to look at when we're looking at these sold comps. Obviously, and we're going to focus on this southern part. And because this is closer to St. Louis, this will probably be priced separate. But let's go to sold, Dan. Do you kind of agree with that 95 to 105 area?
Yeah, I think that's accurate. And Austin said he likes to scrape and see what's going on in the area, then come back by hand and individual properties and see it. And
what do you use to scrape when you're scraping? Like, because what you need to scrape when you're scraping, in my opinion, when you're scraping this kind of data, is you need to also scrape the pending date. Like, you need to get more than just the last list price, and you need to get dates. What are you using to scrape though, Austin? So looking here, I'm going to go into some of these comps here, see what's going on, let's just go to 5-acre comps real fast and see. This one is a little odd in terms of the land. But what we're looking at here, we're looking at listed for sale. We're looking at pending. This took 3 months. Remember, we go listing to pending, and then it took another month. So it took 3 months to go pending, a little more than 3 months to go pending, and then it sold the next month, essentially. So it was under contract for 30 days. Like, when you're on the market, and this is what you need to do. When you're on the market for 3 months, like, I assume that this sold 80 to 85% of what it was listed for. I don't think it's going to sell for 120 plus when it was on the market. Like, maybe it could have, Dan, but if I had to guess, I would say like 105 to 110 for something like this, just based on the time on market. And that's what you're trying to determine, estimate. If this went on the market 11.3 and went pending 11.4, I would assume this sold for 125 plus, right?
Right. No, exactly. And there's no price drop there either. So you'd think it would go down 10, 15% or so potentially.
You would imagine that it was overpriced. Based on the data, it was overpriced. Based on the for sale that we looked at, it was overpriced. This one is a completely different price. Hold on. Let me get a little more southwest here. 8 acres. I don't know if this is probably out of our acreage range, Dan, so probably doesn't matter, but I am going to look at this real fast. These are all over the place, huh? This one took forever to sell. Maybe it is landlocked. This has to be bad land, I'm guessing. I'm going to skip through that. Here's a 3.34 that sold in December. This is a solid property. It's good we have an outline so we actually know that it's solid land. And this one listed and pending 6 days later, like, this sold for $75,000 to $80,000 is my guess. So what is that? 3 point what? So I'm going to pull up a calculator real fast so I can do a couple things. You guys can see.
He said he used scrape here. So yeah, one option, guys, while Ron's pulling this up, scrape here. You can scrape all the comps from it, get what you want in there. If it was me, I would do for sale. And then on the sold comps, getting the pending date, like Ron was saying as well.
So I did I did 75,000 was my kind of estimate for that sale price, divided by 3.34, which is the acreage, 22,000. And if we just multiply that by 5 acres, which is what we're trying to find, we're on that 105 to 110. We're at 112, but this is a bigger acreage. I mean, if I had to guess a sale price for a normal 5-acre comp, Dan, I would say 105 in this area.
Yeah, I agree.
Any questions on any of that, guys? Does
that all make sense? The process. So what's the first step? Let's go through that process we just did kind of manually.
First step is looking at for sale. So the first step you're doing, and when you're looking at area, is for sale. What are you competing? And there's different, like, what step are we looking at? Did we get a 5-acre property back, Dan? We're trying to review what.
Yeah, we're just reviewing comping.
So
going to put an offer out.
5-acre property that comes back, and you're trying to review it. First thing you want to look at is for sale.
Okay, or get ready to put an offer out, Ron. Yeah.
Yeah, you want to look at for sale. What are you competing with if you buy this property? Okay, I'm competing with a 5-acre property. It's listed at 115. It's getting a little bit of interest, but it's not priced to sell. There's nothing else cheaper than that. Okay, that's great. The next step is going to be kind of looking at those sold. And when you go into the sold with like kind acreage, you want to look into the pending, how long it was on the market, what was listed for, and then how long it took to go pending. And that's what's going to help you kind of get that estimate.
Yeah.
Ask questions as we're going, guys. Let me read through these questions, Dan.
Yeah, let's go through the questions here, guys. If you have any other questions, throw them in the chat. If anything, if you have questions on the specifics of, any other questions that you've had that have or come across in non-disclosure states, we can go over specifics as well.
Does the land portal give estimated buy prices like price? Just curious and no props to price, but like that function. Thanks in advance if you answer this live.
No, it does not. We're not doing anything with pricing at the moment, and don't really plan on it either.
The thing about like pricing is there's the hard thing with automatically pricing land and is the variance in quality of land, is the variance in areas, is the lack of data. When you go through and you try to automatically price and you try to have just a formula set, and this isn't going to be a good example, but there's the outliers are so important when you're doing this in rural America. And that's why automatic pricing systems can be at times very inaccurate.
Yeah, there's definitely a way to it. I think it needs to be some sort of machine learning. And I've kind of planned through this with developers, and we've considered building something out that could actually be accurate. And it needs to be, there needs to be a manual component to it for the machine to learn from itself, in my mind. So like there it's an automated system giving you the price, and you go through kind of the comps and marking them. There needs to be some sort of manual component, and then the machine takes back what it's learning and calibrates and resets itself. I think if it had a manual component to it, the automatic pricing right now with land, with how different each land is from one another, it just has been proven to be inaccurate. It's feasible. It's just inaccurate with where it's at now by far.
Like the value, the cost of sending mail out, and like, I don't know, you can, what a lot of people, you can have a manual component to it for sure. But that's just our experience. But good question. How would the end buyer, sorry, I lost it. How would the end buyer also know whether it's a good deal or not? As long as you're 20% lower than the lowest active listings in comparable size.
The market's the market. The end buyer is looking at multiple properties and at multiple prices, and they know what their realtor's advising them. And they also know from looking at, other properties and looking at what's for sale, they're going to know if yours is $50,000 priced higher than anything, because they're looking at other properties, 5 acres for $100,000 and yours is at 150. They're going to say, why is yours so expensive? That's, 50% more. The market just comes down to how do they know? It's just the market feeds the market. It's really all it is.
Exactly. Donald said, I used a title company in Utah. They have a formula from transfer tax and backed into the comps that way. Interesting. All right, let's do this for one more county here, Dan. We're going to go to Texas real fast.
Let's do it.
We'll do this one a little faster.
A lot of people do land deals in Texas. So get your guys' questions 100%. In here before, and we can go through them and go through slow if you guys need any extra help on specific parts. But let's go through another one here. We got some time. 7 minutes left. Let's get through it.
Yeah, we do have a members meeting at 6. If you guys aren't a member and you guys are interested, go to our website, landinvestingonline.com. But we're in Gonzales County, Texas.
Ron, I put the consultation link down there also, a call with Ron and Dan. You guys can book a call with us if you're interested in getting into land and are not currently in land investing. You can book a call there and we'll talk about it.
We have Gonzales County, Texas, 2 counties removed from San Antonio. So this obviously... No, this is pretty rural when you get out here, but this is you're pretty close to a big city, just like we were pretty close to St. Louis, I guess, on that other one. But same thing. We're trying to find 5 acres. Let's go to for sale first. Step 1 is going to for sale. You have a 5-acre comp property that you have back, or you're trying to comp out and find a price. How do you do this? Right off the bat, we can see 4.7 acres dead center in the middle of this county for sale for $115,000, 7 days. 12 saves, 134 views. This is overpriced based on this interest, I think. So again, what I'm looking at when I'm looking at for sale is we're looking at the competition. 5 for 115. Okay. That kind of triggers my, I'm going to hit the price quite a bit lower than that. And based on the interest, that is overpriced in my opinion. Going down the for sale, Dan, there's really nothing else jumping off the top of my head. I'm trying to look for 4, 5, 6 acre comps. These 3 acre ones, you can look at them and see what's going on, see the interest, but it's really not the same acreage as 5 acres in my opinion.
Yeah.
Going to sold. Let's see if we can find some 4, 5, 6 acre comps on sold. We have 3.55. I know I just said don't go into 3, but this is the most recent one. So I'm actually going to do that. This is 3.5 acres, $100,000. Damn, this only took 5 days. Hold on. Something's weird here. This one was marked sold, and then it went pending after that. This is very, very odd. And it's got the same MLS code as well. So you can see this 540,863. So maybe this didn't actually go through. I don't know if they lowered the price. Something's odd here, Dan, or maybe it's just backwards, but someone marked this pending. A realtor in the MLS marked this pending after it's sold.
They do that. It happens sometimes. They forgot the market pending, so it took it off like that, though.
Okay, so you're saying it went pending. Oh, so it probably went pending at this 421. Yeah, you're right. So that's what happened. This pending should be down here. It went contingent / pending at the same time. So this was 5 days. It's probably sold pretty darn close to that 90,000 or so with it being pending so fast. Going down, trying to find some 5 acre comps. Here is one 2 months ago, 5.5 acres, and this was 137.5. Wow, 20 days to go pending. Maybe what's surprising me, guys, when I'm going through this is that 115 on the market, Dan.
Yeah. So now we got to figure out why isn't this $114,000 selling when all the sold shows that it can and that it will move at that price? What's the traction on this again, Ron?
12 saves in 7 days. So it's not horrible, but it's not like it doesn't, based on those, like that one pending in 10 days, I think, for $135,000. So I'm going to keep looking through these sold. 5.38. On again, 11. This one took a while to sell. So I would guess this one probably sold closer to 115. But with that for sale is my biggest concern right now for expecting to sell for 115. If we have 5 acres, I would still expect like 105, 107 day on the same pricing kind of as the Missouri County. But I don't know. The sold comps are telling me a higher sale price for sure. Sometimes markets go down too. That's a reality of it. And maybe it is like there's just not buyers right now at that price.
That's the only one though. The only comp
for sale that's recent. I went into 2 sold and they were both listed for 135 and went pending. The one took a while to go pending though.
Yeah. This will probably sell at that price, but it's just
115.
At 115, but it's just going to take some time.
Yeah, it's just a buyer thing, honestly, a demand. I would try if I had a 5 acre property in this city limits, though, I'd definitely try to undercut this on the sales side. You have the risk of your property sitting if you try to match this price or something like that. If you undercut it just $5,000, you're going to get all the interested
unless
buyers.
It's in city limits. Is it in city limits?
It doesn't look like it based on this. I mean, here's the city limits. It's out there unless the marker's off. It could be like off a beaten road or something like that. It looks a little odd. The access could be
bad access.
Not great. Yeah, that's the thing. Line? Like this, if this is the access, this looks horrible. But it might just be, this might just be a culvert on the land. I'm not sure, honestly, based on the.
Something to look into. It definitely could be access and no road frontage too, though. That's driving that price down.
Yeah. Well, that's essentially, I know this was bare bones, Dan, of kind of doing this, and we'll probably do more in the future. Definitely for our members, I want to do some more pricing stuff in the future so we can actually do pricing at scale. If you guys are a member, we'll plan on doing that here shortly, where we have a more detailed pricing module for non-disclosure states, because where you're actually pricing data, everything like that, that's really obviously important. Might be off topic, but is comping for large acres 20 plus that can be developed the same process? Yes, we will, Jake. Comping 20 acres. I mean, if it's for development, that's completely different. And it's all the end buyer. Like you can sell development land for so much more than just a rural piece of land like this. But if I was doing for bigger acres in general, this is the same process for sure. But hopefully
the bigger the acreage you get, the harder it typically becomes to comp in general.
Get your questions in here, Jake. Yes. So if you guys are a member, we will have a more detailed pricing module on this. The non-disclosure states can be tricky with that for sure. They're just learning. What I wanted to do with this, Dan, is just kind of show people how to rationalize pricing in non-disclosure states.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anything else out here, Dan? We have 5:59. We have another minute.
No, I think you covered it really well. This is, guys, where there's, there's some difficulty getting started in areas that are non-disclosure for sure, but then there's obstacles to it, but it also creates really, really good opportunities. There's a lot of land investors in Texas, but there's other non-disclosure states that people just won't go in because of the difficulties of comping land and not knowing when they get priced back. Not only with the not being able to see sale prices, there's also other obstacles because a lot of these counties can get really, really rural. So you can't only not see them, there's not many of them. And there's a lot of, I think, opportunities with that. So I just wanted to end on that opportunity
100% agree
that you have there.
Yep. Other than that, guys, next week we will let you guys know the topic. I don't have anything on the top of my head. I don't know if I saw any suggestions in there. If you guys do have suggestions, feel free to shoot us a message on Discord.
Yep. And please, if you guys, there's a book call there link. If you guys are interested in becoming a member, please like and subscribe this channel as well. We come back every single week trying to provide as much value as possible here, guys. But thank you all for joining. We'll be back next week.